All right, everybody, welcome to the long awaited for and scintillating lecture on the Timber Mart South Quarterly Market Bulletin. Really are very lucky to have this bulletin here at Ava Community College. We're just going to kind of step through the four documents. I kind of pretty much loaded them all up together. I only have about 15 minutes per recording session that I could do. So I'm just going to go through each section pretty quickly and make maybe like four recordings out of it. So they do report this at the end of every quarter, and so every year there's four publications that come out, and the it usually takes about a month or two for the publication to come out after the quarter's over. So we're sitting at the end of the first quarter right now, at the end of March. And so the first quarter Timber Mart South will be coming out probably around late April, early May, somewhere around there. Okay, so most of these folks are affiliated with UGA, University of Georgia in Athens. Siri is for sure. I'm not sure about Tom Harris. I think he's by himself, but a lot of these folks are definitely affiliated with the university down there. They do have a web address if you want to go out and take a look and sign up for this newsletter. So it starts out with an executive summary, and it's basically explaining what's taken place in the last quarter compared to the third quarter, and then also compared to the fourth quarter from last year. So that's kind of how they look at things. So this column right here of up and down arrows is comparing against last quarter, or the third quarter of 2017. And then this column here compares the fourth quarter of 2017 with the fourth quarter of 2016. So you can see the trend seems to be overall, it looks like it's down, but they point out the reason that it appeared to be down is there were some problems with Hurricane Harvey, obviously, and that caused the prices in Texas and Louisiana to fall. And why did they fall? Because of a hurricane? Well, there's so many trees that are knocked over because of the hurricane. There's this glut on the market, and so when you have way too much of this stuff that you got to move, the prices go down. So that dragged down the Southwide average. Overall, though, the Southwide average, if you remove those, then it actually increased in the South. So it's the prospect for 2017 was actually pretty good. Pine pulpwood, hardwood rose considerably throughout the Southeast, and so did the hardwood pulpwood. What's driving a lot of that is the prices for the lumber, okay, in southern lumber. So pine was up 6% for the quarter and 4% for the year. Panels, plywood panels were down. I believe OSB says it was marginally up. It didn't change a whole lot for the year. Pine pulpwood definitely was up, 23% for the year. And something else that keeps the prices, that increases the prices as well, as the transportation costs and the manufacturing costs. So crude oil and diesel prices, natural gas prices were down, and so that allows them to either one, produce more, but and maybe keep their prices down a little bit more. If crude oil and diesel prices go up, obviously the manufacturing and transportation costs go up, so the price of these things go up as well. The other thing that they do in this first part of this four-part Timber Mart South quarterly bulletin basically is they take a look at what's been going on with a lot of the industry. Okay, some of these names you may be hearing a lot more about as you start working more. Potlatch is a huge company and manufacturing company. And this they were talking about a huge deal that they put together in combining and creating a TMO. Oh, I think it was a REIT somewhere in Alabama. I'll get to that in just a minute. So huge land holding. Weyerhaeuser, obviously you're familiar with them. Plum Creek is probably the largest land holding company in the United States, and they definitely do these companies merge together on certain deals, and then they split off. This is a deal here where Weyerhaeuser split off from a deal that they had with Twin Creeks, and so get down to that in a little bit. But that was the executive summary, and then they get into the more of the nitty-gritty details about what's been going on over the past quarter, and comparing it to quarters in the past. Okay, so this is the fourth quarter in 2012, fourth quarter in 2017, and this is the Southwide sawtimber stumpage prices. Okay, these are the quarterly averages, and it's on a per ton basis. So you can see pine sawtimber stumpage prices since the recession has been steadily excuse me, that's hardwood sawtimber. Hardwood sawtimber stumpage prices have been steadily increasing since since we've been kind of climbing out of the recession. Pine, on the other hand, it did bump up for a while, and it's gone back down again. So the market's been a little bit more stagnated for numerous reasons. And then the chip and saw market has been pretty much following that same line. And I believe probably if you looked at construction taking place, that's probably the major cause for that. Construction is increasing, new housing starts, but there was a huge glut of houses already on the market, and they had to kind of get those off the market before new starts would be created. And that took a while. I mean, they had like millions of houses on the market as a result of the recession. That may explain part of it. I'm not as familiar with all the markets to venture any other guesses. And then you've got the pulpwood stumpage prices. So you got pine pulpwood, the dark line, hardwood pulpwood. It's been taking a poop over the past couple of years, and I'm not sure if they actually explain it, what the reasons for that are. They don't really give you a detailed information as to why that is. They're just explaining what's been going on. Here you can see the Southwide stumpage prices, quarterly averages per ton, and then so it's looking at, this was the price at the end, the average for the fourth quarter at the end of the quarter, and they're comparing it from the third quarter. Anytime you see something in parentheses, that's a negative number. It's kind of an accounting way of doing it. It means it's kind of in the red, and when it's not, that's a positive number. So this means it has gone down from the third quarter, okay, and it went down from the previous year, the fourth quarter for 2016. But overall, if you compare everything to back here, okay, it's actually up, the pine saw timber. It may not look like it is, but it is up a little bit. Pine chip and saw is also up since 2012. So in the past 5 years, it's been showing not great, but fairly steady increase. And the hardwood saw timber looks like it's doing really well, which you can clearly see from the chart. And then delivered prices, okay, again, so that you're kind of seeing the same thing. You wouldn't really want to see delivered prices following a different trajectory. There's something may not be going quite right with the markets if that's the case. If the landowners are, if their trajectory looks like this, and then the delivered prices, the loggers are getting prices like that, then something's not right, right? But you could see they are pretty much following the same trajectory, only there's more value added by the time the loggers have harvested that material and sent it to the mills. So, as they say, a high tide rises all boats. So that's it's a positive thing to see these increases in the value of these things, because that's going to be more conducive for landowners to want to actually practice good management and do some timber harvests out on their property. So again, then there's the delivered prices down there. So they get into more of this detail of these major items that took place in the fourth quarter of last year. So Potlatch out of Spokane and Deltec Timber in Arkansas, they basically created a major REIT, real estate investment trust. They basically are working. They combine together. They own almost 2 million acres, and about a little more than half of that is in the South, and so of course that translates into billion board feet of lumber. Over half of that is in the South. So that's an interesting thing that's been going on. Another one that's is this Weyerhaeuser is checking out of a partnership it had with Twin Creeks, selling their assets for $107 million, and then also selling them another 100,000 acres for $202 million. A lot of that is in the South, as you can clearly see, Mississippi and Georgia. So Rayonier is another name that you should be very familiar with. They are a huge landholding company and a timber producer and lumber producer down in around Jacksonville, Florida, is where they have a lot of their work. West Rock, trying to remember where that came from. That was West Vaco, and I forget where the rock came from, but it was a combination. And they have a lot of land holdings right here in North Carolina, in the eastern part of the state. I know they're talking about Plymouth, Michigan. A lot of these companies do have land holdings all across the country. So anyway, it is good to read about this stuff and see kind of what's been going on. And these may or may not mean, if you have an interest in working for a large industry, these are some of the big players that are out there. And it gives you some names that you might be able to look up. And if anybody treats their employees good, it's industry, that's for sure. So then last couple of minutes I'm going to spend just talking about the market indicators. So they're I know when we met Doug Rowe down at TMS, he said the number one indicator for the economy is pallets, right? And he's got a valid point. I mean, we're doing a lot of shipping, our economy is improving. Here's some other indicators that are out there, though. All right, so when you see things like the pine and hardwood prices going up, well, you know that the economy is doing pretty good because people are looking to build now. Okay, so that obviously is a good indicator. Pulp prices, if that's going up, that means that whatever they're using for that, it just means that the people are purchasing things, and gross national product is increasing. U.S. building construction continues to improve, so it's up 3% compared to 2016, and the highest since 2007. A lot of remodeling taking place, and that uses a lot of hardwoods, the remodeling. Crude and diesel prices were up. That means that demand is up. So when demand goes up, prices go up. And then exports have also increased considerably, 15%. So, and then of course, as we all hear in the news all the time, how good the financial markets have been, except lately, right? Now the news of all these tariffs has really kind of crashed and burned some of our financial markets. But overall, our financial markets have been steadily on the increase. And the U.S. dollar is, not strong as it could be, but it's fairly strong. It's doing fairly okay. So again, there's lumber indicators, panel indicators, pulp and paper indicators, building construction, fuel and energy, and a number of these others. So I'm going to stop with this, and we will pick up on the next section here.